Hello, it's Dustin Nickel from the Unspun and Unwound podcast. Hello. Hey, babe. And Kendall is in the background, Miss Kendall Wren. So this podcast, I guess, is brought to you by the universe. Unspun and Unwound podcast, episode 3. You can follow us on our Twitter, Instagram, at Unspun Music for Twitter, at Unspun Entertainment for Instagram. For some reason, I made them different because I guess I'm just that slow. Now, today's guests, we have Erin Lawson from Elemental Intuitive. She does tarot card readings and pretty much kind of counseling with a little bit of a spiritual undertone, as far as I gather. I haven't done the tarot card readings myself. Maybe it's because I'm a pussy, says Kendall. But I don't know, I find it all really interesting, and Coco Jones from, she's an artist. She works for herself. You can follow her on Coco Jones Studios on her Instagram page. Check out all of her art, some of her inspirational stuff. Really amazing, inspiring ladies. And as far as spiritual stuff goes, we covered so much of that. A lot of it was, so if you're not down with a bit of a woo-woo talk mixed with some of my skepticism, I try to stay open-minded and completely objective to all that stuff, but I feel you need a little bit of skepticism here and there. I have no problem with tarot card readings. I have no problem with Buddhism. I love Buddhism, and especially Taoism, the Tao of Pooh. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is you could just adopt so many small things that you think are great about so many different philosophies, religions, whatever. But if one person says it's one way or the other, I feel that people should just look at them skeptically and for who they actually are. Teachers themselves can be flawed, but if one person says they know the way and their convictions aren't really a little bit malleable as far as learning new facts goes, I think that could be a dangerous thing. And before I go on a rant offending a whole bunch of people, I'm just gonna throw in a song, and Erin Lawson and Coco Jones. Enjoy. Oh yeah, I guess I should be talking about the artists and the tracks that I've been playing. The last was Greek Sunrise by the Geek X VRV. And the track I think I'm going to throw on next is Jurassic 5's Concrete Schoolyard, but the Shaka Loves You edit for legal reasons. It's a great track. I love playing it out. So have fun with the track after the music plays. Then the podcast will play. Skip through it if you don't like that kind of music, but I feel it's fitting. Enjoy.
Let's take it back to the concrete streets, original beats with real live MCs. Let's take it back to the concrete streets, original beats with real live MCs.
So what you not so man, I'ma go over here and get this girl I know you got, man, and see what his head is all about. Ain't nothing to it. So what you not so man, I'ma go over here and get this girl I know you got, man, and see what his head is all about.
I'ma say this one time, boy, and that's my
We
word.
rock the shot to knock fire through the Hindenburg. The contribution is clear. You add water to bone and get the Jurassic vibe on the microphone.
Now if you like the tone,
How the harm is done. And some of the MCs die before they become
from shore to shore and from sun to sun, we use the pen, not the gun, cause we're
number one. I'm not trying to say my style is better than yours. I'm just on some other shit. I'm all about the beats and the lyrics. So when you hear it, you can feel it. The
So what you not so man, I'ma go over here.
Let's take it back to the concrete streets. Original beats from real live MCs. Playground tactics, no rabbit and a hat tricks. Just act classic, rap shit from Jurassic. Let's take it back to the concrete streets. Original beats from real live MCs. Playground tactics, no rabbit and a hat tricks. Just act classic, rap shit from Jurassic. Now I walk from Tanzania, earthquake Transylvania, and all the way I kick a hole through the wall of China just to get the right blend. Tons of schizophrenic of the pen, wait a minute. I fell into the deep end. You shouldn't have told me the pyramids can hold me, so now a contest is what you owe me. Pull out your beats, pull out your cuts, give us a mic, what up, and we gon' tear shit up. Let's take it back to the concrete streets. Original beats from real live MCs. Playground tactics, no rabbit and a hat tricks. Just act classic, rap shit from Jurassic. Let's take it back to the concrete streets. Original beats from real live MCs. Playground tactics, no rabbit and a hat tricks. Just act classic, rap shit from Jurassic.
Ain't nothing to it. So what you not so man, I'ma go over here and niggas got my little rap man, some of this head is all. Ain't nothing to it. So what you not so man, I'ma go over here and niggas got my little rap man, some of this head is all.
Let's take it back to the concrete streets. Original beats with real live MCs. Let's take it back to the concrete streets. Original beats with real live MCs. Let's take it back to the concrete streets. Original beats with real live MCs. Let's take it back to the concrete streets. Original beats with real live MCs.
Okay, yeah, actually, I should bring that to the table.
There we go.
Okay.
Unspun and Unwound podcast. And I'm just going to take these headphones off. Otherwise, I'm going to be right in the way.
All right.
And I get to go like this.
You get to
I'm
be
not
all.
going to lord over everyone, though.
You look all
Get to be
professional.
super important.
I know.
So we got Coco Jones and Erin Lawson. And I'm actually kind of stoked. And this is a different spot to record in. Hopefully we don't hear all the junk going on in the background. So yeah. Coco Jones, artist. I'm going to post a whole bunch of your Instagram and everything like that. But I guess, what's your Instagram handle to start off?
It's all in caps, Coco Jones Studio.
Okay.
Yeah. So easy, but not, because there's a lot of Coco Joneses in this world, actually.
Yeah.
And most of them are in Detroit. And some of them are scantily clad, I have to say.
Really?
May even be strippers and whatnot.
Oh.
But I'm not that one. Those ones. I'm the old lady.
Whatever.
Dusty Nipples is my stripper name.
Oh, that's horrible. Oh, I don't know if you get many people out to your show, Dusty.
I know. You'd be surprised. You'd be
Yeah,
surprised.
I guess.
There's
hey?
probably a whole
A bunch
faction of
of-
people who are into that.
Bunch of fetishists.
Like, I don't know, like Crystal Chandelier would be a cool one. Just like any stripper name. Like, I've always thought they were hilarious.
Yeah.
Cinnamon.
What I find kind of disconcerting about Instagram a lot is there are a lot of people trying to get clients for prostitution as well. So you'd be amazed at who
Oh my gosh.
who follows you. Like I like, as this middle-aged white person, I'm amazed at the prostitution rings that go through Instagram. I'm like, holy cow, what that shit's on here too. I don't know why I said that, but yeah, watch out for the prostitutes. They're everywhere. And some of us just prostitute things in different ways, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
I
Absolutely.
didn't even realize that would be
I don't
on
know why
Instagram.
they always follow me though. Like honestly, lots of Eastern European people. Yeah, a lot actually. And I asked my kids, "Is that normal?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, like just ignore it or whatever." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then I'm like, "How come so many people are unfollowing me?" And it's because I'm not into the prostitutes, I guess. Oh, they're like, "That bitch never called me on my 1-800 number."
Coco.
Sorry.
Because Kendall gets those things, and it's just I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. Like I don't really get any of them. I don't really
Yeah, I
look at my
don't.
Instagram. That
Maybe
much.
because my name is Coco, honestly.
Well, and that could be. I mean, I'm not on Instagram, so it's all. I just know nothing
And I
about
desperately want you to go on because there's so much. I follow double as many people that follow me because there's so much intriguing, inspiring things from all around the world. Like, oh my God, it's a visual smorgasbord. And when I've been really sick, you know, when you're too sick to do anything,
Yeah.
but you still want to feel connected in some way, that's what I love to do. I
Right.
just like to
just to go
there.
through. Well,
Yeah.
maybe when maybe this fall that can be a project you guys can help me with.
Oh,
That.
totally. I'd love to get, as long as it's not, you're not like a Dusty Nipples Lawson
No.
or anything like that.
No. There's none of that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And Erin Lawson, Elemental into it.
That's too funny. That was a good segue.
Yeah, totally.
Not Dusty Nipples.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, you do the tarot card readings,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual counseling. You guys are both spiritual people.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you guys identify yourselves as any sort of spiritual thing.
I would say absolutely.
A
Yeah.
mishmash of like Buddhism and
I'm what's called
So
an
many-
eclectic witch because
Yeah.
I kind of believe in a little bit of everything.
Me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Like if Jesus came knocking on my door, I wouldn't shut it or anything.
Oh my God,
like
I'd
that,
be-
you
yeah,
know?
no.
Like I'd gladly sit down and have some wine with Jesus. So.
absolutely, absolutely. With so many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's just the light and all in that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not. I would say neither of us are really any one. I mean, you have definitely done a lot more Buddhist practice, and I just dabble. I'm a dabbler.
Yeah, but you're out there with your cauldron way more than I am.
Oh, totally,
so.
totally.
So let's just say,
Totally, I'm definitely out there with the cauldron a lot more.
yeah.
yeah. There's always you had like burning the pine cones and stuff. And just like, I don't necessarily believe in anything like
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Christianity or whatever, and it's just like, but I'm an open-minded skeptic.
Yes.
In that sense. So
Absolutely.
it's just like if I'm not gonna be like, nope, that's bullshit.
That's pretty cool. And I was actually thinking about this morning. I don't know what got me onto this, but I thought, I think there are amazing people in all forms of religion or in no forms of religion. I've met some real asshole Christians and I've met some really amazing atheists, and like of all walks of life. I think that it's always the person who kind of decides what path they're walking and how they are. So it's important not to be judgmental, I feel.
And that ceremony is what makes us attracted to what we're attracted to. The
Yeah.
sacred ceremonies are what we long for. So I don't know, you could call it anything, but we'd be intrigued to be wherever there's something that makes us feel good and that would help people or make them feel more safe, because we're living in a world that just reeks of random shittiness all the time. So we're all just trying to maneuver life, and that's how we do it. And I don't know, it's amazing. Like, we're so close and we're different, but I honor everything that you do, and I'd gladly put on a cape and grab my broom and join you, And anytime, day or night, if you phone me at 3:00 in the morning and you needed some shit, I would come and help
Absolutely.
you with that for sure.
Oh, don't mind me. I'll just be constantly adjusting levels and
That's fine.
stuff like that. But yeah, I really like the whole spiritual aspect of certain things, like Taoism, Buddhism. Like, did you do meditation retreats, anything like that?
Yeah, I've done Tibetan meditation retreat with my daughter in, God, it was a while ago, 7 years now. Maybe
Was that
even
that long
longer.
ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Tibet?
No, here.
Oh.
They had 7 teachers from seven different lineages, which I bet doesn't even happen in Tibet right now. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever been able to take part in, and it was in August, and it was a super cold, like, I just remember freezing to death in our little tent at night, and that they had these giant I don't know what it's called that you make paella in, what's those big paella?
Oh, I don't
Is it
know.
called paella? The
Yeah.
Spanish
Yeah.
thing where
Yeah,
they
yeah.
cook those giant. So they did that, but they do like chicken curries. They do vegetarian food. The food was just outstanding, and you just got used to standing in line for food and for coffee and tea, and it was just beautiful. And it was just, you know, like when everybody goes to any kind of retreat, I mean, you still get irritated by people for sure, but there's something about being amongst people with a common goal to sit and be present that's so different than if, like, I wish we could take that to the grocery store and not yell at people in the parking lot, you know, or in the liquor store, wherever you're going to go. I wish that we could take that beauty into those aspects of life, because we think that, oh, it's only for a retreat, and then you leave there and then you're fucking asshole everywhere else, and it's like, what did you learn anything there at all? You know? Yeah, so I have a 3-day glow and then I'm back to my regular asshole self, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it is more just about staying mindful, but yeah.
I wish it was more permanent. I don't know how long I'd have to practice for it to be permanent.
Sometimes I feel like if it becomes permanent, quite often some of those people, then it's almost like your job here is done and you get to leave the planet.
Yeah, maybe.
Because then it's almost like you become ascended and enlightened. I think that we can't ever negate the fact that we are human.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we're going to have some human, you know,
Yeah.
flaws.
Like for all the beliefs that the ego is so evil, but really without us, none of us would have survived anything.
Totally,
You know?
yeah.
Like, and I just think the ego's our bud.
Yeah. You just can't let it run the show all the time. Yeah.
No, it can't. No, you can't. It can't be center stage for sure.
No.
But it has to be an ally.
Yeah.
And all the practices to, you know, for you, it's like your ego is part of your soul. So there's no way you could relieve yourself of that.
No.
I think that's where confidence really comes anyways, because, yeah, without the ego, you wouldn't really strive to do anything.
No,
You'd just
exactly.
be in bed like a puddle.
Those jellyfish that they were warning people not to step on.
Exactly.
They can still sting after they're dead. Hey?
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, if you believe in any kind of reincarnation thing, and if you act like that, then you might end up being one of those jellyfish.
Yeah.
I completely believe in the reincarnation thing.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
We've had too many experiences not to think that
we haven't been here before.
Yeah, and the deja vu thing goes through serious, like, weeks where we constantly feel like we've been here and done this or said this, or we'll be standing at the sink. I mean, as moms, of course, we're always standing at the fucking sink, but cleaning dishes, getting the children food. But there is always that sense of being here, been here, done that before is way more intense when it's a past life thing too.
Absolutely. And there's always, we call it past life bleed through. And people will come and suddenly they have an issue. They have an issue that just popped out of nowhere in their life. And they're, whether it's, you know, suddenly they're just crazy, afraid of snakes, or suddenly they just feel like their world's going to fall apart. And quite often it's been a past life bleed through. They're at a time in their life where this is where they were in the past life at the same age, or something happened in the same, so it triggers that reaction. And quite often people will go through hypnotherapy and realize, and they'll see their past lives and see, oh, that's why I've been afraid of snakes, or that's why I'm terrified of drowning, or just things like that. I mean, and that a lot of people don't believe in that, and that's fine, but that's just what my experience has been, is to be able to see, we bring that stuff forward. And I don't know that I feel so much about, I don't think of karma necessarily as, you know, you're an ass in this life and next life you get to be a jellyfish. I feel like it's stuff we carry forward. And there are some people that are here karmically to actually do bad in the world. That's their role. That's their job.
And nobody, I mean, look at the percentage of people that actually sign up for that.
Yeah.
You know?
Apparently it's a plum roll.
It's a good role.
It's a good role.
But nobody wants that, right?
I call them adjutants.
Yeah.
And there are certain souls that only come down here to agitate others to grow. Quite often they don't grow too much. But their job is to You know, we agitate us and help us learn what we do and what we don't want to be.
Yeah.
So, but it's almost like my belief is that they've signed up for that role too.
Yeah.
So,
But who wants to be Ayatollah?
no, exactly.
I didn't. I wasn't on the other side going, "Oh, that would be a really good
No,
one."
no.
Can hardly handle this little one I have
Me too.
in Canada where there's clean water.
I know.
My kids are healthy. You know, I'm like all the time. Anyhow,
I know. There's so many other roles that could have been really, really brutal. We're pretty lucky.
We're so lucky.
Yeah, and with that reincarnation thing, well, in the float tank, I was thinking about simulation theory.
Okay.
And you know how it's like you relive all your past lives or whatever?
Yeah.
Imagine you're just trying out the simulation again and again, and since there's like all these billions of people, and say if there might be a finite amount of souls, what if there are people who aren't really sentient, like if you poke them, they'll say ow, and if they'll have feelings and stuff, but then what if they're just part of that simulation to point you through different parts of this
Absolutely.
simulation that you're living through now, which is, I don't know,
Like artificial intelligence, almost. Do you mean?
Yeah.
So, or like sort of soulless. Is that what you like? Somebody without,
Yeah, kind of.
like, it's almost like a robot. But yeah.
Yeah, and at any given moment, someone might pop into their next simulation. They'll just assume that person's lives, memories, and give it meaning. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably had too many edibles.
Well, actually, sometimes they are called walk-ins.
Yeah.
There are souls, and there are people that have truly had experiences where they felt like whoever they were before, they've got a walk-in now. And sometimes I do think that there are, for whatever reason, their soul had to go. But it's almost like their body or their experience in other people's lives has to keep going. So it is almost like you have a walk-in. It's a theory. That's what some people believe. So.
There's a fellow that's on John Burgo's podcast that he does that he I forget what happened. He had a major surgery or something, and the entity that was the person before him left, and he's what's in there now, except for his energy. He's pretty high pitched, and I find that I don't know. I just find like I understand what's happened, but I'm not very attracted to him as a healer type. If you know what I mean, like. I completely believe what he says and states. It's just he's not necessarily my people. Like I think that I like much more rooted, earthy type of spirits, and that his story is severely fascinating and absolutely true. I mean, I'm sure if you hooked him up to a lie detector test,
he's telling the truth.
He's telling the truth, but even how he talks, it's almost like someone with Asperger's, but kind of even more so, like more precise, like a ultra conservative spirit that's very particular has jumped into this man, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like their energy has a very high pitch. So yeah,
which I get. I just for some reason that's not necessarily what I'm attracted to.
Well, it's not your resonation.
No.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just one of the low bottom feeding dweller types.
Me too.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think
know.
so. But I did. Yeah. It's not, and it's not even a judgment about who's higher or lower. There's just certain frequencies just don't match our frequency.
And the thing is that even freakier things, I'm far more attracted to. It's just him in particular. It's like he's a cyborg or something.
Sorry, what's his name?
I can't remember. I'll find it and I'll get it to you. Because I know he's very endeared by so many people, and there's nothing wrong. It's just my personal take on that. Yeah, I'm much more Matt Kahn type. He's my hero. If you can't tell by the fact that I post his every time he makes a video, either somebody's giving it to me before it's actually out, or I've already posted it, and all 3 people maybe watch it. But his level of kindness is just something that I definitely like. I aspire to that level of kindness. I'm nowhere near there, because I still think of killing people in my head all the time. And I can dwell in there for a long time. Like, not only do I kill them, I think of extremely interesting ways of getting her done. So yeah. I think that it's going to take me a while to get to the evolution of Matt Kahn, but he's definitely onto something. Mm-hmm. You know, he's definitely beautiful. Like, you look at him and he looks like, what's the doctor? Was it the Dr. Zeus one that was made with the big eyelashes? Like, he just looks like, you know, those little. Sorry,
like the Lorax or whatever.
Sorry, he just is so kind. He looks like, I don't know, like he's got pixie dust rubbed into his face or something, and then he's a bit of Jack Black, and he's super funny, and yeah, I don't know. That's my take on
your take on it. Yeah.
Some of those like teacher type people, or some people like to call them like healer types or self-help, I guess. They can be just so much fun to watch. And, I really find like some of the more unconventional ones. I'm a fan of comedy, so then it's like this guy Joey Diaz, and he's like a 300-pound Cuban guy. He's been in movies and like The Sopranos and stuff, but he's just an angry like ex-con, and he's just like, you gotta seize the day. You gotta like, you gotta get up, smoke a number, wash your pussy.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Someone's gonna hand you an envelope. It's gonna be a good day.
That's right.
I never thought about that as a meditation.
See, that's how I kind of meditate. I have a working meditation. That's what I realized is I just kind of work and do what I need to do, and that's almost my meditation, and I kind of download or escape as I'm doing that. So but
I don't think that there's any escaping and living, which is what we're trying to do when we sit on a meditation mat. You think it's going to be so much easier, but it's a more intense, faster way of you dealing with yourself.
Yeah.
And for me, obviously, you guys, creativity and painting is my way of being. I would, unless I'm severely pissed at someone or something that's going on, if my house is clean, holy shit, something terrible has happened. Because I will walk over stuff and completely be in a different zone to get anything done. And I feel like painting is the only thing that I always have the energy to do. I always fucking can find a little bit of energy to do something.
It's your connection to source. Totally.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain things that I get addicted to doing, but it's usually like I'll get addicted to one thing after the other. It's like, oh, I'm really into outdoor survival now.
So you do it really well.
So you less shroud yourself, and then you're done with that, and then you're on to the next guy.
I've done it once or twice, doing the less shroud thing. Like, this is not fun.
This is bullshit, and I'm hungry.
Yeah. But then there's like, I guess everyone does it. They'll do that ADD thing with their, but I just want people to love doing what they're passionate about, and I guess this is what the podcast is more about. It's just talking to the people who are doing what they love, no matter what it is, even if it's something different like the next month, and if it's something like really interesting and cool, like if you started doing like self-help seminars, I'd interview you about that.
Exactly.
Well, it hasn't come up for me, but you never freaking know.
You never know.
Never know. I can't see that.
Yeah,
I can't see that. Like, I'm gearing towards a TED Talk or something, but self-help seminars, no. No, because I can't imagine anybody actually wanting to be like me. So
I don't even know that it's wanting to be with you.
Or you know what I mean? Like,
I can't.
I could never believe that I would lead a way. I don't think I'm a follower, but I don't know where I'm going. So find your own fucking lane and go down it, because I don't actually know what I'm doing, even though it may come off like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know?
But you'd be surprised. Years and years and years ago, before I even started doing readings, I went to this psychic, funny little old lady, and she told me I'd be a teacher. And I laughed because, you know, I had 3 little kids under the age of 6 and I had a grade 10 education. And I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. But lo and behold, you know, 20 years later, or not even, I guess 15, 16 years later, I started teaching tarot classes. And same thing, I thought, well, I don't even know. It's not like I've, you know, it's not like I've studied tarot and has a PhD. Apparently there is a place in Nanaimo you can get your accreditation in tarot. I just thought that was interesting. But anyways, it's not like I had that. But people came. I mean, how many classes would come? And it was interesting.
I was in one of your...
You were in one of my first ones.
Yeah.
And
I'm like, Erin, I still don't get it.
well, but what's interesting is it didn't even become about tarot. It evolved. And I mean, I don't even know how many students ended up coming over 5 years. And it was more about... a space was created.
Yeah.
And it was mostly women. In all that time, there was only ever one man student. So it was mostly women. But it was the fact that they had a place to go once a week where they could come. It was really therapy. It was, and we called it tarot therapy. That's what it turned into. And self-help. And for so long, and I struggled with the idea of being a leader. And I still don't believe, I like to think that I just held space for them to find their way. And that's what it is. But I just remember thinking how amazing it was that that's what people need. And, you know, that people just need to feel connected to something. They need something outside of their lives, and that's really...
Well, and I think that there's something more about being in a circle now instead of, like, one of my biggest pet peeves is that if you don't feel equal, if you don't see me as equal, then I will not be anywhere near you. So... And there's something that happens in groups where you can be in a circle, right? Where you hold the space, Erin. You've been doing that for so long, but you're not like, I am the grand poobah of every witch in all of the island and maybe the universe.
Dear God, no. That's so not I don't mind being called Weather Witch for the island.
Or
but...
Queen of the Boot. Queen of the Boot, yes, Queen of the Boot.
But no, I don't want that responsibility. No. I have never wanted to be anybody's guru.
And I think that everybody, you know, even in groups like that, there's natural disbands when people have different things that they have to go through. That there's nothing. Sometimes you can only watch people go through their evolution from afar. You're not meant to be in a particular part of that. And that's where my expectations have got me into trouble before, because it would always deeply sadden me, like if friendships fell out or whatever. And now as we get older, you don't have as much patience as you did in your 20s for sure. But you just have that ability to give people more space when they need it too, right? And I'm one of those people that need a hell of a lot of room for myself. So yeah, some good birthday cake occasionally.
Yes, exactly.
Well, going on what Erin said, like I don't look for that quality of someone. I guess it wouldn't be a quality, but when people say they know the way, and like, that's the way to do it, and that's not for everyone. That's because everyone's a snowflake, and everyone's so much different, and everyone's story is so much different. I could sing the Different Strokes theme right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like that's how it is, and if you end up looking for someone that's like, yeah, this is the way. But yeah, I like the idea of just providing a space, and it's just like, you know what, the tarot cards, there's probably like some truth based in it.
Totally.
And you know what's the weirdest thing is, like, even my my horoscopes have been like kind of on lately.
Yeah.
I'm going off topic.
I know, that's good. That's good.
But like, it was just like every week I'd just like go to the coffee shop and I'd like look at it and I'm like, oh, you got to do this, and it's like you got to start connecting with more people, and it's like, oh, so I should stop recording by myself and never putting anything out because I'm not impressed with it.
Exactly.
Yes, but quit doing that.
See, what I kind of believe is there is this universal energy, whatever you want to call it, and there's this universal intelligence, and so all things like tarot and horoscopes and sort of all those prophecy type deals, they kind of just tap in to that universal energy. So it's like when I put out my card of the day, how many different people all over go, oh my God, did you write that just for me? So now partially you can just read what you want into it, but maybe there is this overlying energy that people tap into, just like for you. So you read your horoscope and you're like, that kind of fits. Now, as long as you're not basing your life on that.
Oh yeah,
you know?
like, I don't even really believe horoscopes to the full, because there's so many things that have debunked them in many ways, and if
there's your science side again.
Yeah, there's
debunked.
Yeah,
I know.
No, but it's true.
The stats haven't backed it, so therefore.
And the Earth's axis has like changed so many degrees since the original mapping of the astrological signs and all of that.
Absolutely.
So then it's just like, I think technically I would be a month ahead of where I should be. So it's like I'm a Virgo, I should be.
You should be Libra.
Libra,
Yeah.
Well, hell, I'm going to be a Taurus no matter what. So just to let you know, I don't give a shit if the Earth is flat and it's all bullshit. I'm still a Taurus.
It's not flat.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, that's just too funny. I don't care what anybody says. I'm a freaking bull. Okay, good. Well, I'm going to be a Leo still.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
But even when I'm doing readings, I'm always careful to say, if I say something that doesn't resonate, you need to trust that. Don't listen to me. If it doesn't feel right, don't listen. And that's basically what I feel like most people should do, is just, we all have our own inner, GPS, is learning to trust it, right?
Mm-hmm. Which some people, like, I think that the ego gets a bad rap because your ego calls bullshit pretty quickly. And then we're like, oh no, I'm just not being fair. I need to give them more of a chance and all that shit. And meanwhile, your ego was looking after you the whole time. You just were ignoring the hell out of it. It's just interesting.
I think my husband, it represents my ego. Because he has the best. I should always trust him, because his sort of, he'll say things and I always think, oh, you're just being a jerk, you're just being an ass. But quite often I'm like, well, he was right.
It's always, I know, they're hindsight.
Yeah.
It's 2020.
Yeah, and he's always like, you always just assume everybody's good. But I still feel that that's not a bad thing to do.
Yeah.
Make assumptions in that way anyways.
Well, and I think that you have to be so open when you're dealing with so many different kinds of people too, that it makes you confronted by your own prejudices, right?
Totally.
I feel like each reader or each intuitive, each seer is constantly confronted by our own blocks.
Yeah.
So even though Erin and I could be on a similar path, because she can paint and write just as well, it's so interesting. The things that confront us are the things that we need to overcome all the time. So you may think, oh, well, I can do all that, easily, whatever they're doing. And here's the book. Go and fucking do it. Because if it's easier for you, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Because it isn't easy, especially when there's parts in us that always want to awaken. Mm-hmm. You're going to be confronted by your shit, and you cannot run away from it.
No, there's been so many times I've had to sit in a reading with people with some pretty big stuff going on, and and there's that part of me that's like, la, 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 I don't want to know, but you have no choice, and you do the same thing, and you do the same type of readings and the same type of paintings. I mean, how many spirits have showed up of people who have passed away that won't leave you alone until you paint them for their loved ones.
I know, for their parents,
for parents who've lost their children, and I mean, how hard has that been? That's the hardest
as a mom, when you have beautiful souls and you know that they're okay and they're and you have to paint them for their parents, and you don't want to offend, especially, I don't know if they're Christian or not, because I'm not close to any of these people at all. Here's a painting of your newly deceased child,
Just like out of
have a nice day.
Yeah, I know. I hope you're okay.
Yeah, and as a mom, none of that is okay. Like, holy shit, I don't know what I would do if someone came. Actually, I know what I'd do. I'd be grateful.
You would, yeah.
I'd be so grateful to have somebody lessen the suffering. But you don't know the belief systems of any of these people, and that's tricky.
That's scary and hilarious. I'm gonna go pee, and you guys can keep talking.
Okay.
And I'll just join right back.
This is a very informal.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I really gotta pee.
Okay. Well, you just go and let that coffee flow. Yeah. And we'll just hold the fort.
I've had one locked in the chamber for so long.
It's like we're definitely being interviewed by one of our children.
Totally. It's just too funny.
Well, and I wanted to say how even with our own kids, we have no control over their belief systems, right? And that when Augie found that fella that I'd never heard of, and liked him, I was initially going, oh man, but once I saw that they're gonna find the people that open up the love in them, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say this, as long as it's not fundamental in any way. If they're Muslim, if they're Christian, I don't give a shit. But what I care about is if their beliefs make them more noble than other people, superior to other people, that theirs is the only way. I'll never accept that.
Well, and I think that's the thing, is anything fundamental. That usually basically implies that this is the only way. And so I feel the same way. As long as your beliefs make you a better person and keep you compassionate and understanding and non-judgmental, I don't care what you believe. I don't care if you believe God's a unicorn or if there's only
that would be the coolest religion ever.
I actually had a unicorn on our wedding cake.
Got that, Erin.
Oh
my god.
We didn't do the little couple or anything. We actually had this unicorn that was the topper on our wedding cake. It was the 80s, remember?
That's pretty awesome.
It was the 80s. And Kendall broke it when she was a baby because she broke everything. But
Did you take that as a bad sign?
No, I didn't. I took it as...
I'd be terrified. And it took about 6 wedding rings later for me to realize that it's okay if you lose or break your wedding rings.
It's not...
The husband isn't going to leave or...
Exactly. No, at that time I took it as, damn, she's fast.
How did she find that?
How did she find that? She got
scaled
around.
up. It scaled up the fridge and got to the top of the...
Yeah. I took it as life is bumpy and hard sometimes and you just move on.
And where's the Gorilla Glue?
I know.
Yeah.
That was before Gorilla Glue.
Oh, I know.
She was a baby, so yeah.
That was when people would plaster their own fingers together with
the
crazy glue.
I have done that.
I know.
I did
all
that
of us
once or
have.
twice too.
Yeah, all of us have.
Just to test.
Just a test,
Yeah, because you didn't actually believe what people said.
It's for science.
It is for science, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, back to the fundamental. Like Coco was saying that our children, we have no control over what our children's beliefs are either, and I don't believe that's our job. Well, and I've learned, even like with our kids have grown up with me doing this their whole lives. And, they kind of take it with a grain of salt. And, I went in one day when Lainey had a particularly bad time and I was smudging the whole house and I was smudging over top of her. And I woke her up. I said, sorry, honey, I'm just smudging you. And she goes, thanks, Mom. But not that she's going to maybe go out and smudge and maybe she's going to go follow her. But it's...
When we can see it.
Yeah, when we can see it. I'm like, dude,
when we can see what they're already supposed to do.
I know.
And you have to completely stay out of the program.
Yeah, you have
That's
to.
the hardest thing.
Absolutely, is to learn to bite your tongue when you...
Yeah.
I did one time say to her, do you maybe think I might know a little bit more? Because I'm your mom and I've been here a long time and I'm freaking psychic. But she had to find her way. And I had to let that go. So... Because you have to make mistakes. Not that I'm saying my way wouldn't be mistakes. And that's what I realized is her way is the way that's the most important. Whatever choices or mistakes you make, that's what you need to do to learn what you need to learn, right? So,
yeah, and skin in the knees makes them more sturdy too, right?
Yeah.
You gotta fall down some. And our parents gave us free reign, which was probably the best gift we could have had at that time. And there's so much more fear and suffocation and helicoptering that we do now that we never, like, honestly, our parents would be like, excuse me, it's Whiskey Sour Friday, what the fuck are you doing home?
Go outside.
And don't you dare drink. And you'd be like, but I'm hungry, and they'd be like, get the fuck out and don't, like. I was always upset that my parents never came to basketball, but I didn't understand that they were busy. Like, I'd have house league basketball and my parents would show up like once a year, and I didn't understand that they were watching Dallas and having sex on Friday nights. That was just kind of a big deal to them, right? And then, kids didn't come first.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, they were fed and watered. Your basic needs were met, but you were given a lot more freedom to discover and create. And,
Yeah, I was a latchkey kid.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you just could find your way and...
I was raised by like black 80s comedy.
I wonder why you want to be a comedian.
I know,
right?
exactly. But I think that does make you more resilient. And I didn't. I mean, I was raised that way too. At six, you were out and you were outside all day long. And I mean, we lived on Saturna where it was completely safe, but it was, and we just did what we wanted and we came home at dark or supper time and it was pretty healthy. That was a good way to grow up. But I didn't do that with our kids. They were allowed to go and do, but still, I still have hovered and I've still tried to make their lives better. And I should have let them, I should have drank. I think I remember saying that to Steve one time. I should have been an alcoholic. They'd have far more life skills. But I was joking.
I did that for you.
Okay, well, thank you.
You don't need to do that because alcohol isn't necessarily the be all and end
No,
all.
it's
as
not.
You know,
I know.
We both know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We both have it in our heritage. Maybe not to go too crazy.
Exactly. What, it gallops in our families?
Yeah.
Alcoholism gallops in our families.
Stampedes through our families.
Oh, same here.
Yeah. So, not a good way, but at least we've shown our kids that by doing it our way, there's always a way. You can always create different, new, right?
Absolutely. And that's so true.
Well, like, neither of you were raised religiously, or
No.
I was actually my parents weren't, but I was I went to church early every day. I went to early morning mass. I went to church on Sundays. I was always devout because I was scared I was going to go to hell. There was sexual abuse issues I was working through as a young person, and because of what the teachings were in the Roman Catholic religion at that time, I thought for sure I was going to be annihilated by God. So I needed to keep Jesus on my team and Mother Mary on my team. And I thought if I said a few million rosaries, that maybe I would be okay. And actually those belief systems kind of stayed until I met Ricky. He basically blew apart my belief systems really quickly. Mm-hmm. When an alcoholic priest was christening our son Dill, I realized, as he was breathing booze on my beautiful baby boy, I was like, something's not right. And then we laughed hysterically when we got home.
Just because
sacramental
he
wine.
was shaking. Father Patrick was shaking a bit. I was worried, I didn't want to give him to, and Dylan was like, and then he and Jacob were the only two we had baptized, so yeah. And it's not like I still have inherent beautiful beliefs about Catholicism, but I can't agree with what I can't agree with it anymore. I've been shown too much spiritually to just bite that down and swallow. I just don't believe it.
It's kind of cool your parents let you make that mistake, though.
Oh, they were so good. My dad used to take me to church on Sundays sometimes because they were DJs, so they worked late on Saturday, like Friday and Saturday nights. They were booked pretty much my whole life, my childhood, from 10 on. And my dad and I had a really super close relationship, and he would go to Tim Hortons and get himself a coffee and drive me, and we'd stop at the Dundas Drive-In Park, and he would tell me how important it was for, as a father, to watch me go to church. That my relationship with God was always going to be an extremely important part of my life. So, here is my dad, who's a fucking atheist, driving me to church, telling me how important it was. He just didn't. And he was always very psychic, and he was always having crazy psychic dreams, and he was raised from super superstitious. My great grandma Futurelli was super superstitious. There was garlic on every door in her house.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, my dad was very Catholic. raised very Catholic, and when he left the church at 14 and felt bitter and felt cynical about religion, so he wouldn't let us have any. We begged to go to Sunday school because all the rest of the kids on Saturna went to Sunday school, and we begged him, and he really didn't want us to. He let us go one day, and we came home. We walked home at lunch, a couple miles, which I just think we were like 6 and 7 or 5 and 6 or something. But anyways, we walked home, and
that's okay. We don't let our kids drive downtown.
No, I know,
Or,
exactly.
like, walk,
but we were doing that. But he was so freaked out. He didn't want us to be brainwashed. So he didn't let us have any religion. And he always said, you can choose, which I always appreciated. But what was funny is I felt like I missed out on something because all the other kids were baptized and they'd all been baptized at the church. It was Anglican. And I felt less than. And we never really even talked about religion. My dad always calls himself a scared atheist. He doesn't believe in God, but he's prepared to pray like hell if he needs to. That's what he says.
Yeah, as the lights dim at the end of life, hey?
Yeah, he's like, oh,
Jesus.
But I remember getting in school, we'd get our little Bibles in grade 4, and it was a little red Bible, and I religiously read that every night. And we never said prayers or anything, and someone taught me, like, now I lay me down to sleep. I said that every night, and it was interesting because I was around, I just remember at 12, I wore a cross, and I became very devout in my own way because same thing, I kind of had this sense of I wanted to connect to something and I didn't know what that was, but it was so like, where did that come from? In my little Bible, I kept it under my pillow, and I don't even know when it started changing. I don't know when but I said that prayer for years, and I still pray all the time. And my father-in-law, I said something about, I had a bad day one day and I thought that God was mad at me, and he goes, well, you don't even believe in God. And I went, of course I believe in a higher power. I don't know exactly who or what that looks like, but I believe there's something bigger out there that we come from this divine place. But it's so interesting because even not being raised religiously, I wanted to belong to something. And it's just so funny how no matter what, we go against basically what our opportunities are anyways. We got to find our way, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so.
I had my grandparents for my confirmation gave me a Bible, a really super beautiful one, and I read it. I read it every single night. Have you ever seen how big an actual Bible is and how many words are in a Bible?
Yeah,
that's crazy shit. And I was like, nobody was insisting this. I just needed that reassurance.
Yes.
But unfortunately, I think I took a lot of the Bible a little bit too literally.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the cynicism that my own children have. Like, they would, at Queen of Angels, and you got sent into the hall when she was in grade 4 because she said that she didn't believe in a God that was going to hurt little people for anything. So she got her little butt sent in the hall.
Well, our kids were the same at Queen of Angels.
If you fed me if you said this is a peanut butter sandwich and it was roast beef, but because you said it was peanut butter, I believe that was peanut butter. I
because
did not. I was gonna get beat. There was a healthy fear, but it was an intimidation and stuff that our children actually don't even.
And don't you
understand
sometimes
today.
wonder if, like for me, I wondered where that came from because it certainly wasn't my parents. It wasn't your parents. So did we bring that from a past life? Where did that come from? And I mean, I personally know I've had quite a few lives where I was burned at the stake, which kind of sucked. But anyways, I felt the flames licking my toes a few times.
Oh, I know. It'll all be over soon.
For my beliefs or for my way of life that must have been different. And so many souls, well, they still have that now. How many people are being judged or killed because of their beliefs, right? So it's not like that has changed in how many thousands of years of human evolution.
Israel, I think I read this morning that they're bombing Palestine again.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
And it's just like how.
And the U.S. finally said something like, "Hey guys, maybe you should cut it out."
Yeah.
And then it's just like about time.
They dropped 30 or some odd. And again, it's always we get people where their religion is, right? And it's so wrong. Like praying in peace is a right for us all. Whether you're running around with a cauldron in your backyard, or I'm doing a chode practice in a cemetery somewhere. it's our right as a human to be able to practice whatever we're practicing if it doesn't harm anyone else. And it never, like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Satanists hurt people, but
Actually,
maybe...
no, they're like pretty much atheists. They they want to just troll Christians, and they promote the separation of church and state.
Yes.
And then
and
I
see,
love what they do sometimes.
really,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. But
I don't know, so I can't say.
and I
it's,
haven't.
It's definitely not something that I would give my energy to.
Oh
No.
There was like this 10 Commandments thing, and it went up in I forget what city, but it was like right in front of a town hall, and tax dollars went towards it. So to protest, the Satanists are like, okay, well, we want a statue of Beelzebub or whatever. And, then, and it's just like this. So they got the statue of the big demon, and then that was going to get put up, and then the Hindus wanted in on it. And that's exactly what the Satanists wanted the whole time. Just like, no, we need diversity. It's just like, otherwise, they're fighting kind of like a fascist, like some sort of a theocracy, I guess.
Well, and yet, just like we were saying earlier too, it's the fundamentalism that is where people get stuck.
Yeah.
So it's those ones that are saying this is the only way, and it makes all of you evil or all of you wrong. That's where, again, there's probably amazing, beautiful people who believe in Satanism. I know tons of amazing Druids and Wiccans, and I don't even love that. For me, I don't even know what I am. I don't know. I wouldn't even label myself
I
necessarily.
wish that pagan didn't feel
I know.
derogatory.
Yeah.
because
I don't know, like, because it's always thrown in with like black witchcraft.
Yeah.
I don't like that because it's so not that.
No,
It's an honoring of the cycle of the moon cycles and the earth cycles and
totally.
that
And
kind
that's
of
sort of more what I believe in. It's sort of a nature-based belief system.
Yeah.
That, because even Wicca itself, I think, became an organized religion in the 70s. So it's actually, there's decrees and there's this and I remember this lovely lady came to town. Oh God, I was working at Wishes, and she was a practicing witch. She was a hereditary witch from Cornwall. She'd lived there. Her people had been witches for 300 years. And we were like, oh, this is so amazing. And she was just this lovely little old lady. And so we, me and a bunch of people kind of went to her classes. It was so rigid. It was, you have to dress this way. You weren't allowed to wear a bra. You had to be, it was called unfettered. And I'm like, I can't unleash these puppies. That's just not good.
That's an end of the day thing.
That's an end of the day thing. And then
in the privacy of your own home.
And I'm like, I went to one class and I was like, I was so disappointed because I thought there'd be this, I thought it was magical. I thought it would be magical. And it was, you have to, these are the rules and this is the way we do it. And it was like, nope, that's so not what I want to do. So again, I don't want anybody to tell me my special way of being in the world, and nor do I want to do that to anybody else either. So
yeah, the sisters are going to be fettered.
Totally. Sorry, my belief system needs a bra. That's it.
You can free your nipples all over the planet,
and then we go back to dusty nipples.
Mine are going to be covered up.
Totally, exactly. But
and I have so much like joke fodder. Like I've written so much about because my mom is fundamentalist, believes the Earth is within 10,000 years old, and it's just too easy to make all these jokes.
I know,
but
just as long as your parents never show up at your shows, right?
I know.
Yeah, and
they
even
might
going
not
back,
think it's that funny.
Although
my kids take the piss out of what I do all the time, and I just laugh right away.
But even with that whole Israel-Palestine thing,
right.
I find that fundamentalism dangerous because the Christians want their sky god to have only Jews in Israel, so then they can bring on the forthcoming of the apocalypse, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's really scary, and
it is really. I just think it is really scary, and I think that's why, unfortunately, so much even stuff around, being a Muslim. Like, we get a slice of what their beliefs are. And we also get the worst. We get the media fed, what about terrorism and all this and fundamentalism. And, and I don't think that's fair, But again, I think that any religion that claims theirs the best therein lies a problem.
I think that what breeds fundamentalism is people not belonging, people being ostracized, people being living in
Fear.
profound poverty, like profound fucking suffering and poverty. I think if we actually just gently took care of one another, there wouldn't be these things. There wouldn't be these great crevices between one another where people would even think of doing this shit, you know? And I mean, I have no idea how that's going to be fixed, but that's just what I know
Well,
in my own life.
you know, even okay, on to politics now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're switching.
We're switching.
We're switching.
Just watching with this whole weekend of the Tragically Hip and even Justin Trudeau, and I try not to even pay too much attention to politics because I feel like the same thing. It's almost an organized religion in itself. Here's the beliefs. This is the way it has to be. You're right or you're wrong. But what I'm seeing that brings me hope is that for all that maybe Justin Trudeau can do, I just feel like he carries a little bit of that more light in him. Like, let's calm down a little bit and let's be a little bit kinder. And maybe it's crap. Maybe that's just media fed too. But I still feel like it makes me hopeful when I see our Prime Minister in a Tragically Hip t-shirt. Could be a photo op, but I just feel like it's more like let's look after each other. That's the message I get, and maybe I'm reading into that. I don't know.
I think he's very kind and charismatic and way more approachable than Stephen Harper. And then I told you about that Twitter pic that had Canadian politics in two pictures, and it was Justin Trudeau with Gord Downie, and then in the next one it was it was Stephen Harper with Chad Kroeger from Nickelback. So it showed the juxtaposition. Like, that's
kind of
just
funny.
Yeah, that's that in a nutshell. And I don't know. There's something like, I mean, I know that Justin Trudeau is going to get a lot of flack for, he is like amazing at the photo ops. But I think that he's going to be made accountable for a lot of shit, especially in how we're dealing with our Aboriginal people, you know?
Yeah.
And environmentally too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. You can't keep fracking and not have Mother Earth just kick our asses. Like,
Well,
there's
that's why
just-
there's earthquakes
yeah.
and water poisoning.
Substantially more, right?
and then again, I understand the other side too. When
Oh, I do too.
about
because-
economics and how are we all going to work and
Yeah.
live, and I get all that. And again, I think it's important to not be extremists. I think it's important to see
somewhere in the middle,
Yeah.
there's that balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to find the sweet spot between saving our planet and making and having some kind of continuum
Yeah.
in an economic way. And again, I'm just a painter. I have no fucking idea.
and I'm just a psychic and
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. But intuitively, that's all I can feel. And when I do those readings every week, it was like the same message, different card, and it was still
know.
the same, no matter what I was doing to mix things up. It was this, I'm like, seriously, I can't think of another way to say the same thing.
I know.
I've used all my ways of saying the same thing. I can't think of that, you know? But it's like, there is this, how do you, when you're mining for gold and you have your pan and you're shaking it,
panning.
you're panning, but what is that called when you get what's the shitty part of the
I don't know.
like the
silts
chaff or
well, it's like if it was like, you know,
If
they
it's
say wheat. It's like separating the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
when you're winnowing or whatever. When you're but it's the same idea. You're panning out like the junk, so
Yeah.
the gold comes to the surface, kind of a thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
there's
is-
a lot of work to do just to get the gold nuggets. Like, you've seen those shows where those people are mining in Alaska, and you're like, oh, like if you just would have dug a little bit, there's no gold there either. You know, like, it's a lot of work.
And then they find these little tiny
Little
fragments.
tiny nuggets,
Yeah.
but it's those nuggets of hope that keep us
That keep us moving forward.
right?
Exactly. That it is those little nuggets of hope. And that's what I see sometimes is like, you could look and you can always see there's something horrible in the world. But maybe we need to focus on those little tiny flakes of gold that are like, okay, it's going to be okay.
You can just hold them and rock in the corner.
I know.
That's what I see with like a lot of social changes. It'd be like panning or mostly panning for gold because you get a lot of just nothing.
Yeah.
There's so many good intentions and then just really bad ideas.
Exactly.
And it's just like Black Lives Matter.
All lives matter.
It's like, all lives
Watch
totally
out what
matter.
you say. Watch your hashtags. Right?
Humanism, feminism, like there's just so many.
Just like, we all matter. We get that, but you don't get a shotgun pointed at your face for just blowing a stoplight if you're white. I'm sorry to say that, but
well, exactly, and that's the thing is, there are reasons. There are reasons that people get, offended and want to have their lives matter. Yeah, and we as white people,
and the shadow side is being so loud that we have there's no way we cannot look at it anymore. No, right? Exactly. Because people are going to insist that we bring our attention to the places that hurt, and once we do, then the shift is gonna it's just gonna flip, right? Absolutely. Or that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I feel sometimes too. Is again, wasn't there a quiz or something about prejudice? Oh, and I remember being really surprised because at first I kind of thought, oh no, I don't think I've been as a victim of prejudice. Oh, okay. And I mean, like I said, for the most part, we've been pretty lucky living in Canada, living in BC especially. And it's been, we're pretty lucky, pretty white bread and stuff. But then there's those places that, you can have prejudice. You can deal with that, whatever your financial status is. Like I've certainly felt looked down upon for not being rich or for whatever, or education, or being a man or a woman. There's certainly ways, but again, so here we've got the First Nations culture, and we can't even imagine traditionally and even just what's the word, generationally, how much prejudice they've dealt with for so long. Well, and and again, we're all like, well, that happened a long time ago.
Not that long,
but not that long ago.
No,
exactly.
Not
within our lives, this has happened.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we have to remember and still understand that.
Yeah. I did one, not of that one, but of the privilege. How privileged are you?
Maybe that was the same one. It wasn't prejudice, it was privilege.
Yeah, privilege. And I thought, well, I'm a white woman. I'm gonna own this. I'm gonna be so privileged. Oh no, just being a woman. I think maybe under the failure line.
I know.
I was so disappointed.
But that's like
I was so disappointed.
Thing based on like the whole social justice thing.
Totally,
and it's like the age of offense, and that's where we're like mining for these little tiny fragments of gold. But then it's
it's fool's gold.
People called Ellen racist.
I know. Yes, that's right.
My God,
because she photoshopped her like riding Usain Bolt, and was like, "This is the fastest way to get around." And it's like, "Yeah, it's the fastest guy in the world, of course." It's a funny picture.
Totally.
And he posted it, like he retweeted it or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's just like, "Oh, this is so funny."
Yeah.
And then the internet just like got so much hate, and I'm so happy she didn't apologize.
Good. The only person she'd need to apologize is him, and if he didn't take offense, he has a fucking sense of humor then.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
It's like, where has our humor gone? Why do we need to pick everything apart and just find fault in everything? That's a horrible way of being and living.
Because chances are she would have posted that picture no matter what his skin color was, because he's the fastest human being on the planet.
Yeah.
So he could be purple or yellow or red or brown and or white, and she probably still would have posted that picture. But
she's just awesome.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
Well, I guess going back to the whole native thing, that wasn't that long ago. No. That was within the past 200 years, and I think like for hundreds of years after certain things, like cultures suffer from like wars, that kind of stuff. And that's partially why like the Muslim church, I don't think, has even been reformed. Not just from Christians, also like the Huns and like everyone just messing with them the entire time.
Totally.
because they used to be the kind of cultural and intellectual hub,
Yeah.
but
I love that you know this stuff.
I know. I know. I mean, look at stuff like
Oh my
Rumi and
God.
Hafiz, right? Those
Yeah.
were all, was Rumi a Muslim? Or he was a Sufi?
Yeah, and then
But-
Hafiz.
Yeah, but I mean, that's based in Islam.
Even saying that right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying that
Yeah,
right.
some
But I mean,
But even if they're like us who had these, these fanatical little kids that are reading the Bibles by themselves,
totally, yeah.
if they were reading the Quran or whatever, it's that there's an innate beautiful spirit in us all that is
Absolutely.
longing for truth, and we'll find it. We'll find it however you want to put. Whatever costume you want to dress it up in, we're going to find it.
Yeah.
And the only thing that helps you find that is the longing keeps you in the race to find that too, right?
Well, David Koresh thought his way was the best, and so did Charlie Manson. And... okay, except for them. No, but what I'm saying is they had a vision, and somewhere along the way, where did that get lost? But there's also people that are attracted to those kind of leaders. That it's the charisma, and they're attracted, and people sometimes want to be a follower. They want someone to tell them this is the way because they're scared or
Exhausted.
and so I see how that happens too.
Disenfranchised.
Absolutely.
Disappointed.
Yeah,
or
exactly all those
Yeah.
things, and they always, at first, the hook is that they offer, here is a path that will save you. They offer salvation. So that's what it comes down to. So, and I mean, we all have that within us to do it ourselves. But again, there's all those factors that make us tired. So,
and with Islam, that's kind of what makes them more susceptible, like the young people getting interested in becoming terrorists.
absolutely, yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, I think that's what makes them more interested, is that we bomb the shit out of them, and now they're extra poor,
Yes.
extra disenfranchised, then they also have had most of their family killed, and they want revenge.
Yeah.
Totally. And wouldn't you, I don't
Yeah.
know if anybody went near my children, you know, hell hath no fury.
No, exactly. And they don't necessarily know. Like, look at back, was it in the early 80s, Afghanistan, when Russia invaded Afghanistan? And they had this whole covert operation where the states ended up helping to get Russia out of Afghanistan. So they did that. But it was the secret. That was that movie, Charlie Wilson's War, was based on that. So, but it was secret. So what he wanted to do, according to the movie, was once they won the war, once they got Russia out of Afghanistan, and I forget how many, the budget went insane. Like, I think billions of dollars went into arming the Afghanis to be able to get the Russians out. But what he wanted to do, the senator, was to put a whole bunch of money into recreating an infrastructure, schooling, help feeding people. But it was one of the last scenes of the movie was like, well, why? We don't need to do that. And he's like, you have to help them, because they don't know that the states has helped them. The average citizen whose family has been killed or has no home or has no food, they don't know that North America was actually a good guy in their lives. And that's what happened, is they didn't help. There was no infrastructure, and that's where the Taliban came from, is all those disenfranchised young people that they found a leader who was going to make them feel powerful and who was going to help save their homeland again. So, and that's what had happened. That's when you get, fanaticism again.
Yeah, it seems so easy, but there's so many more layers of things going on.
Always. And so, yeah.
So we'll just keep doing little readings in our little town and painting pretty paintings to try and offset the bullshit of the world.
Yeah. Well, there's billions of people in the world. We're not going to stop at all.
No.
And I don't know. I like the whole immigration thing, like, in some ways, but then in some ways I'm like, let's give them some religious liberty without making it too, because they're very regressive when it comes to like feminist stuff.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
True feminism, not like
like true equality between male and female.
It's like they should be given the choice if they want to wear
Yeah.
whatever, rather. But then at the same time, licenses
Yeah.
and like airport kind of stuff, security measures. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Just abide by these rules so you
Yeah.
can live in this country. But yeah, I think it would be better to like show them like, hey, we're actually not that bad, and like there's other ways.
There's other ways. Yeah.
Yeah. And my mom thinks it's like some sort of holy war between just Christians and Muslims, which is the craziest thing because we're allies with Saudi Arabia, who's like the heaviest distributor of Salafi Islam. Like they're not taking in any refugees. They're just building mosques in all these places that
Wow.
spread more of that ideology. But yeah, we're allies with them.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And there is so many layers to the politics, to the economic connections. There's just so much more that we as everyday citizens aren't even aware of.
And that there's so many good people all along the way of all that.
Yeah.
That are just wanting to get, like the people that are building the mosques just want to get paid a bit so that they can feed their families. And, like it comes down to very basic human
And also
need.
basic human needs, and those basic personal choices we all have to make to survive. So that's part of it too.
Which brings us back to the whores on Instagram, which is
what doesn't kill us makes us better whores. That's our theme.
Nothing about
that's
selling shot
Erin's
can.
that's Erin's mantra.
Yeah, exactly. Totally is.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're a little over an hour anyways. I don't know
Okay.
how much battery I have left. Oh, 23 minutes left of battery.
Well, that was really fun.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I don't know that we achieved anything, but we had a hell of a good
Yeah,
time.
I know. That was so good. I love conversations. This is such an amazing thing because
It
it
is.
doesn't feel. If you were in a
Yeah.
studio, I'd be so fucking nervous.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I wanted to have it up here, and that'll
Yeah.
make you guys feel like way more comfortable
Yeah.
because this is where you guys have tea.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, and you never know what's gonna come.
I know.
Right? Ooh,
your guys'
you're gonna
chemistry
have
is
to.
so well, works so well together that like you guys should have one.
Well, maybe
like,
that's the next thing.
I could deal with some of the internet logistics of it, and
That would be cool.
I think it would be kind of fun.
I think so too.
Well, we would have way too much fun.
We would.
And then our parents would shut us down. And then our husbands would shut us down. Woman, where's my dinner?
I know.
And then we're dealing with all the bullshit about not actually being privileged white people.
I know.
You know?
And just surviving and paying hydro and
Yeah.
making sure there's food in the house.
There's so much more to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
We could go
Oh,
on and on. I
so
mean, we've
much.
had some amazing conversations at this table. Like, holy cow.
I know. If this table could talk.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Doesn't even have to drink or
That would be,
anything.
if this table could talk, that would be a great.
Oh, that's a good one. So, yes, thank you so much.
Dusty.
It was
No
really
worries.
brilliant, and I love that you're so well educated on current events and basic history, and you know, like
I just read and watch
Yeah.
too many YouTube videos.
I love that you do that. Though it's gonna make you a really beautiful interviewer. Like,
Well, this is like nice because it's more of a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
but that's what you know. Maybe it's just conversations with Dustin over
Yeah.
whatever topics are comedy and conversations with Dusty.
Absolutely.
You know?
I think that works in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot gets healed on our planet through conversation. Like actually sitting down and talking to people is probably one of the biggest. Being heard by people about what's truly pissing you off and hurting you
Oh,
is
yeah.
one of the greatest healing things that I've ever experienced.
I think just doing something like this is more beneficial than going out and holding a picket sign, like camping somewhere.
Way more. And you know what? I'm not that kind of person. I'm not. I'll do all the work behind the scenes. I'm not a stand there and hold a picket line
No.
person. I don't know.
And I mean, I get everybody has their role.
Yeah.
And I do believe sometimes that, you know, there has been those people that have had to stand in front of bulldozers because it was the only way to stop things, or chain themselves to trees, or stand up to a government that is taking away their rights.
Yeah,
But
Tiananmen Square,
exactly.
like that iconic.
Oh,
tank.
Yeah.
That's such a brilliant. Oh my god.
I just watched a documentary last week about I think it was called Four Dead in Ohio. And it was about the 4 students at Kent State University in the 70s who were protesting. They were trying to get everybody out of Vietnam, and they had just found out that they were going to be going to Cambodia. And so these students all got together, and that's when the National Guard came in and shot 4 of them and killed them. And the way they went around and interviewed just regular townsfolk. So this is in 1970. And these were their sons and daughters at this college, and they went, well, they should have shot them all. They have no right to stand up to the government. And I was just like, it horrified me that, and this one woman who was a student there, who wasn't like a dyed-in-the-wool protester, but they were all concerned, and they wanted to do something, and they wanted to join in this phenomenon of meeting and protesting. And she saw this young guy get killed, and they were all sent home. And her dad came home, and he just looked at her and he went, they should have killed them all. And she was like, then Dad, that would have been me. And that was the end of their conversation. And so it was just crazy. And actually one of the guys that was there that they interviewed went on to become a member of Devo. But it horrified me, because just the fact that now we can protest. Maybe I don't love the way they do it, but at least we have that right to protest and say, this is not okay. So again, always that fine line of what you can do.
That might explain why Neil Young did something with Devo back in the day.
Oh, really?
I bet.
That's probably why.
Because he was part of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young,
Yeah.
who wrote Ohio. That's that song, Four Dead in Ohio, by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. So yeah.
Sorry,
That was like,
No, that's
ping, ping, ping.
yeah. It's just like
I know.
So,
Knowledge!
something to look up after.
Connection! Exactly. That's a whole nother conversation. Well, thank you.
But yeah, that was fun.
Well, so good. So
yeah. I hope you
fun.
get some goods out of that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Pretty much the whole thing.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
And yeah, I'll just record outro stuff later.
Okay.
Coco Jones and Erin Lawson, thank you.
Thank
You're so
you,
welcome.
Dustin.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Dustin.
much.